This review has been made possible by Chevrolet of Naperville. As you know, Chevy has tons of brand new cars and trucks available for purchase, but did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to ChevroletofNaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I'm driving a 2019 Chrysler Pacifica Limited. Up front is a 3.6 liter V6 and down below is a 9-speed automatic transmission. If you'd like to read more of my thoughts, head on over to carmarshal.com/overdrive. But let's get back to that 3.6 liter V6. Well, it's good for about 280 horsepower, which isn't anything to thumb your nose at for sure, but this is a very, very common engine from Chrysler, from Jeep, Dodge, Ram, all of that stuff. Most base model Dodges or Jeeps will come with this engine. Base model Cherokee, base model Charger, base model Challenger, base model Ram. But here, the Limited is actually the top trim of the Pacifica. We'll get into that a little bit later once we talk about the interior, because this thing is really, really loaded. But it's the only engine offered in the Pacifica, although there is an industry first, a hybrid version of the Pacifica. So you can actually get a hybrid minivan, which is interesting because as far as I'm aware, no other manufacturer offers a hybrid minivan. So that is pretty neat that it is offered, but again, this is not the hybrid minivan, so we won't be talking too much about that. Like I said, paired to it is a 9-speed automatic transmission. It's really nice and smooth, it's quiet. It's not clunky at all, which is great. And overall, I really can't complain about it. It's a transmission that works. What more do you want? And last but not least, the Pacifica is front-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have two actual physical gauges. On the left is my tachometer, and on the right is my speedometer, which are both fine and dandy. They're kind of shaped interestingly, and I actually really like it. It sort of looks different than every other car, and I like that a lot. In the middle, I do get a digital gauge. Right now, it's telling me my coolant temperature as well as my fuel level, but the inside screen can be changed. So right now, it's showing me miles per hour in digits, but I could switch it to speed warning, screen setup, messages, audio, stop and start, trip info, fuel economy, vehicle info, and back to my speedometer. On the steering wheel, I do get buttons on the left to control that center screen, and then on the right, I have my cruise control settings. The thing that irritates me about the steering wheel is that on the right, there are dead switches. This is the Limited. This is the top trim. There should not be dead switches on the top trim. If you're going to pay upwards of $40,000 for a minivan, you shouldn't have dead switches, but unfortunately we do have dead switches. To the left, I just have my headlight and dimmer switches for the instrument cluster. And then on the door, I have, of course, my power window options, child locks, and I actually do have power folding mirrors. So hit a button and the mirrors will fold in, hit that same button, and they fold right back out, which is great for city driving. Now to my right, this is where we talk about the infotainment system here in the Pacifica. This has always been one of Chrysler's strong points, which is the infotainment system. They are really, really good at putting a lot of information here, especially for geeks like me who like this stuff. So right now I'm looking at my heated and cooled seat controls, navigation. We can go over here to media, climate, my apps. There's projection manager and send and go. And I could fold down the seats, ready? Or the headrests at least. Which is kind of fun. I can control the passengers' heated and ventilated seats. Maybe you have a kid riding shotgun who either can't reach the screen or doesn't know how to work it. I have a navigation page. I have so much stuff here in the center display. I really, really applaud Dodge and Chrysler on their center displays. I think they're easy to use, and I think that they have just the right amount of information where it's not too hectic, but you can definitely find out what you want to know. Down below the center screen, we have some interesting buttons. We have auto start stop off. So I absolutely hate auto start stop. I think it's an obnoxious feature for now. I think in theory it's a good idea, which is why I finally found a comparison for the idea of auto start stop. Have you ever gone to the bathroom and had one of those paper towel dispensers where it like relies on the first paper towel coming out to pull out the second one? Well, when your hands are soaking wet, the time that you need a towel, you just grab it and then it rips off, and then you have these tiny little chunks you have to pull the second one out. And so in theory, it's a good idea because as one pulls out, another one is ready. But in actual practice, it actually sucks. It's horrible. And that's how I feel about auto start stop. I finally found a comparison. So next time you're in the bathroom and you have one of those auto paper towel dispensers that is horrible, that's exactly what stop start features are like. But getting away from my rant on auto start stop features, parking sensors off, traction control off, mute, which is nice. I love that mute is a standalone button. And then screen off, as well as hazards to finish out that button cluster. Down below that, I have physical AC controls. I love that they still retained physical AC controls. I like having tactile buttons. I can keep my eyes on the road. Oh, turn the knob up and down, cooler, more fan control, less fan control, stuff like that. To the left of all that, we have the shifter. Not a big fan of the shifter. It is the rotary shift dial. I'm not a fan of this just because it's not super confidence building. I don't believe it when it says that it's in P because I just push the dial. It's not a physical, I put it into park. It's just beep, and it's in park. It's a little worrying to me. Maybe that's the old school kid in me, but I don't know. But to the right of that, we do have an electric parking brake. Again, not a fan of the electric parking brake, but at least we get one. Down below that whole center, we do have an aux port as well as a USB port, and then all the way down at the floor, we have a cigarette lighter, 12-volt charger, and a USB charger, as well as this giant center console. I get 2 cup holders and a little trap door that reveals another little cubby hole to place stuff. Now we'll talk about the seats. The seats are comfortable. They are perforated leather. They are power. They are memory, which is absolutely awesome. You guys know I love my power and memory seats. They're decently comfortable for a minivan. I like them a lot, especially for a minivan. They're not sporty seats. You slide in and out really easily, and I like that a lot. Now, speaking of seats, of course it is a minivan, so we will talk about the back seats and do a back seat review. So we are in the back of the 2019 Chrysler Pacifica Limited, and the seats, they're a little bit rigid, a little bit stiff, but what do you want? It's a minivan. They're comfortable enough. Now, a couple nice things to point out back here. First of all, it does have the Stowing Go feature from Chrysler. So in the floor, there are actually storage containers in the floor, which is absolutely awesome. Of course, because it is front-wheel drive, there's no drive shaft going through the car, so they're able to put a lot of storage there, and that is super handy. It's down at the feet of the rear passengers. Getting back to the seats that I just mentioned earlier, I just noticed on the door, they are heated seats with 2 levels of heated seats, 1 or 2. I have auto windows, which I will not roll down because this has the dealer sticker and I don't want to peel that off. But super nice. In front of me, I have a USB port. It is directly in front of me. And so if you had a 8-inch USB cord, it would be perfectly fine. It is right there. It is perfectly mounted for the rear passengers to charge their things. Now, I do have a third row, so let's hop back there. So the third row is a little bit more stand-up-ish, a little bit more cramped, but a couple things to mention. First of all, I actually get my own sunroof. It is not a power sunshade, but I get my own second sunroof that I didn't even notice while I was up there back here. I get my own sunroof, which is absolutely cool. I feel like this is like my own little area. Like I feel so disconnected from the rest of the car up there. But I mean, come on. That's pretty neat. If I was on a road trip with 6 other people, I would not mind at all. This is so comfortable for a back seat for a third row. This might be the most comfortable third row I've ever reviewed. This is so good. This is so good. This is why you buy a minivan. I got my own little sunshade here. Pull this up so I'm not being blinded. Oh man. I might just take a nap and not return this car for a couple hours. To finish out the interior, we have a giant panoramic sunroof. Now, like I just opened up the front portion there. Okay, so this was confusing at first. There's actually 2 different control panels. On the left side here is how you open up just the sun visor. So as you can see, it's going all the way back. It is a giant sunroof. The rear passengers get to enjoy that as well. And that's found on the right side of the passenger compartment. But on the left side, closer to the driver, that is where you actually open up the actual sunroof itself. Just this front part will tilt and open, which is super, super nice. I love Chrysler's giant sunroofs. I think they do a great job with it. And it really adds a nice feel for the back seat. I mean, obviously kids are going to be riding in the back seat, and so they get to stare up at the skies and wonder about what's really up there. Now, we'll talk about the key fob, because minivan key fobs are always the best. I have a couple interesting buttons. I do have a start-stop button, so I can actually start and stop the van while I'm standing away from it. This is great. Say you're out at soccer practice and it's freezing cold. It's the end of the year, last practice. Freezing cold, standing far away, you can double click it. The van will start and get those climate controls ready. By the time you get in, it'll be nice and warm. If it's a super hot day, by the time you get in, it'll be nice and cool. That is really nice. Then I have a double click for my tailgate, the power tailgate going up in the back. And then I have a button to open up either power door, which is absolutely awesome too. Double click that, and there you go. Now let's go back into the trunk again, because there's something very interesting back there. So around back here, a couple things to note. First of all, some Pacificas actually come with a vacuum on board. This unfortunately does not have it, which I'm a little bummed out about, but there's still cool stuff back here. So we can hit stow, and look at that. The seats start going and they start stowing themselves away. It kind of looks like a transformer, and honestly, look at that. That is really, really cool. No more throwing out your back. I don't know what that guy's doing. Okay. Well, there it is. It is stowed with one hit of a button. We can hit normal. Boom, it's gonna start moving again. It's going to flip up the seats. The old Pacifica, you used to have to reach in, pull lever, and pull back. Days like that are long, long gone. Look at that, it's almost fully done. I'll put a little timer down in the bottom right-hand corner so you could show exactly how long this process takes. Really, really cool. As well as the last thing to point out about the hatch is I do get a 12-volt charger in the wall that'll run off the battery. So if the car is off, you could still charge, still use a light or a charger, whatever you want that is plugged in. Really, really cool back seats here in the hatch. Now we'll talk about the looks of the Pacifica. I think it's an okay looking van. I don't think it's very striking. I don't think it's very out there. I don't think, wow, that's a good looking minivan. I think it'll blend into most traffic jams. And I have to say it looks modern. It definitely looks modern. It does not look old, which is absolutely huge. There are some cars on sale today that look like they could have been on sale in 2011. And if you're gonna buy something new, especially a minivan at this price, you don't want it to feel or look old. And that is not the case here with the Pacifica. But I keep saying the name Pacifica, so let's talk about that. I have no idea why Chrysler named this the Pacifica. This is really the continuation of the Chrysler Town & Country, the minivan that they've been producing since the 80s. I don't know why they went up and switched the name to Pacifica. And you might be wondering, what does the name Pacifica mean? Well, they actually produced a car starting in, I believe, 2004 called the Chrysler Pacifica. It was actually built by Mercedes. It was on a Mercedes platform. And it was a crossover. It was actually one of the first crossovers I remember. And the reason I remember it is because I have a 2004 Chrysler Pacifica at home. It is my parents' car. And so I've road tripped in the original Chrysler Pacifica. And I'll show pictures and video here. That's a Chrysler Pacifica. That's what it is. And so I have no idea why they named this the Pacifica. I'll show a picture of a Pacifica and a picture of a Town & Country, and you tell me down in the comments which it looks more like. Does it look like a Town & Country, or does it look like a Pacifica? Because I believe it looks like a Town & Country. It drives like a Town & Country. It is a Town & Country. Why did Chrysler name it the Pacifica? Some things in this world I will never, ever understand. I think it might have been a last-ditch effort at kind of reviving the Chrysler name. If you look on Chrysler's website, they offer 2 vehicles. Chrysler makes 2 cars. This, in both hybrid and non, and the Chrysler 300. That's it. That's all they make. And so maybe this was a branding thing to try to show off that they have something new. This is not new. This is a town and country. Maybe that's just me, but oh well. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something about the 2019 Chrysler Pacifica minivan. Huge thank you to Chevrolet of Naperville. Their information is up on the screen. That is where this car is currently being sold. If you'd like to purchase this car, they've knocked a big chunk off of the asking price, which is really good. And so huge thank you to them for getting me into this car and allowing me to review their Pacifica. Definitely go check them out. If you're not into Chrysler Pacificas or you're not into Chevys, still give them a look. They have hundreds of used cars that get rotated out weekly. You know, I'll request a used car, and by the time I come to the dealer, it's usually sold. It's insane how fast they move cars. So if you are interested in buying a used car, definitely head over to ChevroletofNaperville.com. Again, their information is up on the screen. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.
There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight.